going on, guys? So I am mounting all the Vivid Lumen lights today, or at least getting started. Wiring is going to be a whole nother day on its own. I decided to integrate it into the crossbar that was for the wind fairing. I might put the wind fairing back on if I can get it all to play well together, but I just kind of want to get it up there, get it mocked up, see if I like the height of the lights. I'm talking about the 5 big rounds for the roof. So pretty excited. I'll show you what's going on right now. All right, so this is the crossbar. It's the same for every crossbar on the Sherpa rack, but this one holds the fairing on specifically. And these are the lights, Vivid Lumen lights, the 5 inches came with, and they're mostly just meant to be mounted straight up and down. Now, obviously, I need them a little bit on the angle. So instead of using one huge through bolt like the kit comes with, which would be great for a bumper, I am going to integrate it into the factory crossbar using these T-nuts, and then I'm just drilling new holes in the mounts. Hopefully it's strong enough. I mean, this is pretty thick steel, and they're far enough away from the original bolt. Going to be using big washers, and I think it should be strong enough. These T-nuts have worked really well in the past. I might use blue Loctite on the bolts that are going through the brackets, and specifically I want it as straight up and down as possible because that allows me to utilize both holes so the light doesn't pivot off-road when there's a lot of vibrations. So this bracket needs to be on only a certain amount of angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, instead of having the fairing at this locked off angle, I might drill another hole right about here so the fairing's at less of an angle and I can utilize both bolts on the bracket, on the light bracket. So I'm just playing around with different ideas. I've ran through like 4 or 5 different ideas. I think this is the best one so far, from not getting completely, totally custom, fabbing my own custom brackets and everything. So we'll do this as version 1. If I'm happy with it, awesome. Version 2 would be integrating the wind fairing, and then I also got to wire it all up. So that will be fun because I also got to take the tent off to run more wiring to the back and kind of fix these side lights. And then we also have new ditch lights going on, and then I got to take the bumper partly off to put in new fog lights. So there's a lot of work to be done. I got to still take off the old light bar, and but yeah, let's hop into it. This isn't taking too long, just making these small changes to the brackets, and then we'll get all 5 lights on, and then we'll mock it up and see if that's going to work for us. I'll probably run it for a little bit, not wired up, to see if I need to make any changes. A drill press would be nice. Also some cutting oil would be awesome, but I ran out. And cutting oil and drill press, yeah, that would be pretty sweet. I did this was to make it as aesthetically pleasing as possible, but as strong as possible. And to do that, I needed both bolts to hold this light so it doesn't move. If you only have, the lights are pretty heavy, if you only have one point of contact, it's going to pivot, especially over time. So by having 2, it is going to be way stronger. And then I also have 2 points of contact for the crossbar into the roof rack, and one of those cannot pivot. So in both situations where the light mounts to the bracket, it can't pivot, and the crossbar can't pivot, And then I doubled up, instead of having one through bolt, I have two through bolts into the crossbar, and with blue Loctite. So I know it's a lot of weight up there on one crossbar, so I went for strength over maybe being able to set the lights further back on like a further back crossbar. I don't know. I think this is the best option. So I'll give you a close-up look right now, and then we'll throw it on the roof and see how it looks. So with these T-nuts, the depth of the bolt has to be very specific. You want it to thread in as much as possible, but you don't want it to start going through into the crossbar, because then it will start pushing back up on the material and actually bend kind of where it's locking in. So I'm running two washers. They didn't have the exact bolt length that I needed at the hardware store. So, and they're like zinc plated, so that's sweet. So zinc plated bolts and washers, and then one other set of washers underneath. Not the best scenario, but I'm working with the hardware I have and already making these brackets a little bit custom to make all this work. But hopefully this is helpful, because anyone that has a Prinsu rack, Sherpa rack, anything with these kind of universal crossbars, it's going to be similar for you. And usually these lights mount like straight up and down, and that's what the brackets are meant for, not an angle, not coming out from the side. However, anyone that's running on the roof might run into this scenario. So I think it is a decent option. I'll let you know how it pans out, how it holds up off-road, but this is what we're going with for now. All done. All right, so a few things that I wanted to go over before wrapping up this video. The way that I installed the lights has worked out great so far. It's been about a month, and I've had no issues. The lights are in the exact position that I left them in when I installed them in this video. As for wiring, I had my buddy Gabe help me, and he helped me wire all the lights together, and then I used the existing wire that I had running up the side of the windshield to connect it all together. Leave any specific questions in the comments below, and I'll help try to answer those, or ask my buddy Gabe, because he did all the wiring for it. The lights are working great so far. I was shooting them in this clip about almost half a mile, a little bit more, at a hill in the distance, and it was like easily hitting the hill, which is pretty sweet. It's hard to show how far down the road it actually throws the light, but it is way farther than my 30-inch single row light bar that I had. Not as much overall fill, but I'm not getting any hood glare. So they just act as crazy high beams. And then for kind of shorter distance stuff, I have the lights in the bumper, and then I have fog lights at the bottom of the bumper, and then I have my ditch lights on the sides. So I still use my ditch lights the most. You know they're not going to blind drivers coming at you, so I have more of a chance to turn them off when I do see a car coming towards me. It's not like any car that comes over the hill and I don't flip the lights like on the roof off soon enough, I'm blinding them. But ditch lights I run a lot more often, just for wildlife, and because they're easier to, they give me a little bit of time to turn off when a car is coming at me, because I'm not out here trying to blind people. But yeah, just super happy with the lighting setup. I think the lights in the bumper are perfect for that kind of low mid-range, and then the lights on the roof are great for that super long range. And then yeah, I use the ditch lights the most. So let me know if you have any questions down below, and I'll catch you in the next adventure.